Welcome back, everyone, for our final session of the day. It's my pleasure to introduce Tim Stevens. Tim is a digital technologies teacher at St. Joseph's College, Gregory Terrace in Brisbane. He's been using Python in his classes for the past 5 years. He's an active member of QSites, presented at the last 3 state conferences, and recently named QSite Educator of the Year for 2015. Tim was a member of QSite's Digital Champions program, whose role was to provide support material for the teaching of digital technologies. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much. So I work at Gregory Terrace, which is an inner city school in Brisbane. We've got 1,400 boys from grade 5 through to grade 12. It's a very academic school. Boys are very motivated to get A's. The scariest mark I give is a B+. And I'll get phone calls from parents saying, please, because we have medals, gold, silver and bronze medals and awards. If you get 7 A's for the term, you get a gold medal and that sort of thing. So it's full on. A lot of pressure on staff with their marking. But I've been working there since 1999, so it can't be too bad. We've had an ICT course there for over 15 years, maybe longer than that, which has slowly evolved into a digital technologies. We've taken out the PowerPoint, oh, thank God, the term of PowerPoint, and put in programming and database and that sort of stuff. We also had the pleasure of going BYOD, bring your own debacle, disaster, no, sorry, device, I've got to get that right. I've got to get it right, because I always get that wrong. That's an actual, well, it's almost an actual laptop that I saw the other day, but the kid was actually holding it with his hand. It wasn't as cracked as that. There was a crack in it, but he's holding the screen with his hand and trying to program at the same time. The school did say, just bring whatever you want. So that's obviously had massive challenges, doing databases with grade 8s this term and trying to find, because we can't use Microsoft Access unless kids do a Windows boot on their Mac. So we went to LibreOffice and there was Java problems galore, and we've had weeks of trying to fix that. So there's some nice challenges there for the staff. And of course, they gave us plenty of professional development and time to do that. Sorry, was my sarcasm too thick there? Yeah, good. Okay. Then, of course, after the ICT, we evolved, this came out. And the thing that interested us the most, get that out, was 8.6 and 10.8, which is you've got to start programming by grade 8, and you've got to do some object-oriented stuff by grade 10. And so that's what we've tried to do. So last year was the first time we used Python in grade 8. We've been doing Python in grade 10 for about 5 years now. And I'm just going to go through what we did, what we've taken out, what we put back in and then took out again over those years. So really we sort of looked at that and went, well, what are we going to do now? What program language are we going to use? My subject coordinator, Peter Whitehouse, he's been teaching Pascal for 30 odd years, but we were looking for a different language. I had done some Visual Studio. Wait for me to get into a fetal position. Curly braces. Curly braces scare me. Through QSite, they had offered a free courses with Oracle in Java, in Alice, Greenfoot and Eclipse. And that was a great course, actually. The Greenfoot's an excellent program. And you can see that's the Hello World program in Eclipse. So that was sort of where I came from. And then, of course, I went and had a look at the Computing at School website from Britain and found work booklets galore in Python, because obviously they'd had their big revolution and the massive big Python push in Britain. I went to Coursera and did like an 8-week course with Toronto. And Python made me feel like that. After the C# Visual Studio debacle, I felt like I could actually do this. Because I'm actually a drama teacher who failed at drama teaching and decided to grow up when he was about 35 and realised he wanted to be an IT teacher. So that's when I went back to uni and did the Visual Studio stuff. So after doing Python, I realised I could actually program and do this stuff. And of course, it's all because of the idle. So you saw in the Eclipse The Hello World program where you had to go and create a class or a file and then a class, and then there's all this magic code, and then you had to write Hello World. That's what I love about Python, is it's just nice and simple and it works. And for our situation with a BYOD school, it was open source, it was free, that's the magic word, and it works on all platforms. And it does work on all platforms, there's no problems. Never had a problem installing Python, which was for us a godsend with some of the other problems that we've had. So 5 and 6, no lessons. They have, after exam period, when they've got some dead time, the e-learning coordinator goes in and does an hour and a half double lesson with them, and they do some hour of code. They've been doing some Scratch Junior. We had iPads, they've gotten rid of iPads. Now they've got Microsoft Surface Pros instead. I don't know why, but they did that. The teachers are just, they've had iPads for 3 years. Oh, let's throw that out the door and let's get something new in. So we did all that, they do that. 7 and 8 is compulsory. It's a year-long course. That's only the programming stuff. We do a whole bit of database sort of stuff too, databases and a lot of spreadsheeting, that sort of thing. So visualising data, manipulating data. We've got a course called Big Data for grade 8. Scratch and App Inventor in grade 7. So the grade 7s right now are creating a study app for maths or for science as their assignment this term. Game Maker, which I'm starting to lose a bit of faith in. It's just, again, there's some issues with Mac and PC and not using Microsoft's Game Maker Studio, but we use 8, or we used to use 5 at one stage and just make them all use 5. That's also for cheating and stealing off the internet and that sort of stuff. And then last year, for the first time, we did Python in grade 8. Year 9's still got some of that ICT stuff. We do Flash and Dreamweaver with them, but App Inventor is the main programming thing we do in grade 9. Semester of Python in term 1 and 2 in year 10. So basically the idea was they learn software in semester 1 and then we do hardware in semester 2. So we do robotics and Arduinos in term 2. That was the thought. We're a Google Apps for Education. I did a professional development a couple of weeks ago with a whole heap of Education Queensland teachers, and I don't know how they teach without Google. They can't. The only thing they can get to is Google search. I just love Google Classroom. That's just there. If you haven't heard of it, go and have a look at it. Encourage your school to get it. For me, we've got a Moodle as well, but day-to-day teaching and classroom stuff, Google Classroom is just fantastic. I love it. So, grade 8, turtle graphics. That's what we start with. So we might start with a little activity like this where they're actually on pen and paper, they've got to draw a square and they've got to list down the steps of that. And then we sort of try and, those steps, we then transfer over into the syntax. So getting your pencil case and getting a pen out is like importing the turtle library. We've got to go, this whole library's got a whole heap of things in there and we've got to go and get a pencil out of it. That sort of thing. So very basic sort of syntax. One of the first activities we do is get them to draw the Olympic circles. That one, then we might move into actually creating a function called circle and getting the circle, get them to then call that each time that they get to the right position, change the colour and then call the circle program. So we start to get them using functions as well. And this is the assignment. So the assignment is to draw your name, not using the text feature because there is a feature you can get the turtle to draw text, as some of the Year 8s found out. Well done, but no. They've got to at least write 4 words, 4 letters, sorry. They've got to do a repeating shape of some sort and a personal logo. And what I like about this is when they write the function T to write the T and they call it down here, I know that probably sounds ridiculous, but it actually, the kids really see that that's a call to that function up there. That sort of thing. It makes it clear for them. So basically we give them the basic sort of shell of the functions and the calls to those functions, and then it's got to go and fill that in with the actual programming. So that's the sort of thing we do. For loops, functions, and that's about where we got to. The best assignment I had last year, I opened it up, all of a sudden a web page opened to YouTube and it started playing the Game of Thrones theme. Then the window appeared and then he started drawing and his actual shape was the whole background as well, and it went on for about 10 minutes. It was fantastic. So, and I never taught them how to do, I actually went, oh God, how do you do that? Get the web page open. I didn't know you could do that. So, grade 9s, we do App Inventor. And sort of after listening to Dr. Zagami one time at the last state conference, their assignment is trying to make an app that changes the world. So an idea was that my daughter's got asthma, and I was at the doctor's the other day and she gave me this sheet where she's got to fill in how many times she's coughed and this sort of thing, and over 3 weeks. I thought that's a great idea for an app. So that sort of thing, an app to change the world. But what they do, this is a Magic 8-Ball program. So we do this term in term 3, then in term 1, they actually program the same sort of programs in Python. So in App Inventor, we've already done Magic 8-Ball, we've done a guessing game, we did a username password. So they've got the basic sort of algorithm and shape of what the program should do. So term 1 in grade 10, and this will probably change a bit because, as I said, last year was the first time the year 8s had done some basic Python. The grade 10s this year hadn't touched Python until this year, so we might have to bump this up a little bit. But that's just a basic introduction to all lists and while loops and all that sort of stuff. But they're the sort of programs that we get them to do. Little challenges each lesson to do. And then they have an exam. As I said, kids love getting A's and they want to get an A+, so one way to... And also we have a lot of assignments and we just wanted to break those assignments up and give them an exam. So that's like one of the questions. Obviously the first 5 or 6 questions is, what data type is this? What's the output of this thing? That sort of stuff. And then they've got to write, and this is a handwritten exam. They've got to write a program that works out how many tickets you've bought and what the cost is, and to give some change back and that sort of stuff. And that worked really well. That was the first time we had done that. Usually we did 2 assignments, but we actually found that especially when the spread and you're trying to get a ducks and all that sort of stuff, it actually helped us a lot. Kids thought they knew how to program until they did the exam and then had to do some work the next term. So the next term we move on to classes. And this is my Harry Potter example. And so we move into that object-orientated sort of stuff now. So they've got to create the constructor method, and then a whole heap of other methods to do the wand and the what sort of Patronus you've got and that sort of stuff. And that's linked then to a database. So once you've created the instance of your wizard, then you've got to be able to store that in a database and then be able to query that database and get that information out again. All of that is in the idle. We just use the idle. We don't use any graphical sort of stuff. And I'll talk a bit about that a bit later. But that was a choice that we've made. So there's a bit of SQL. So they have done, in grade 9, they do databases and we do SQL stuff. So hopefully they've already got that prior knowledge. It's really just then how you access that database using Python, which is so easy, really. So simple. So their assignment is to create a class and database system. The Harry Potter example, create an instance of wizard with 6 attributes. Then the other examples, they can do bank customers, school database. None of the kids did any of those. They came up with their own. They were boring. There was like Star Wars characters. And then one kid went and got all the ASCII art for all the weapons in Star Wars or something. So you bought a weapon and then slowly it would build the weapon, the ASCII art in front of you. It was quite good. And if they wanted to, the real challenge was the dueling stuff and the role-playing game. Being able to choose a wizard, choose 2 wizards, make them duel, have some health and hits and all that sort of stuff. That was the real challenge. A lot of them, actually none of them really got to that level at all, but at least set that challenge there so that they got something to reach for. And it's all in the idle. So that's the sort of example of, Phil, welcome to the Wizarding world. What do you want to do? Go get your wand. And then it prints out from the database what your wizard has and all the attributes of your wizard. And of course, do you want to save this? Yes, no. Once you've made the wizard, then you've got to choose whether you want to save it, and then it goes and saves it into the database and tells you that you've saved it. So there's all that interaction design there, but just through the idle. TK Inter. This is what we used to do. And what we felt, we had it in there, and we took it out, and then the next year we forgot why we took it out, so we put it back in, and then we went, oh, that's why we took it out. That's right. Because they wrote a really nice program and got it working, and then they sort of, because it's event-driven sort of stuff, then they had to pull it apart and rip it apart to actually make it work, fit it into this. And we thought, is it just eye candy? Is it just making it look better than the idle? Are they actually learning to program? So is it better just to stick with the idle and get the programming right than actually go into this? And we did a lot of that as well. And the other problem is, as I said before, the kids wanting to get A's, they'd go to the internet and they'd steal how to do a drop-down cascading menu and going onto these other things, and then something would break in it, and then they'd say, sir, fix it. And I go, I have no idea how to fix that. So, you know, that was a problem as well. So then we went, that's right, we're going to take it out, we're going to abandon it, never use it again, unless we can get a better system. And as I said, Peter used to do Delphi programming or Pascal programming with Delphi, and he's just used that interface and a form. And if Python had something like that, we'd probably bring it back, where you could just drag a button on, or you could drag a form on, that sort of thing. That's really what he's looking for. Just to make it easy. We don't want to make it difficult for them. Pygame and Pi0, that's my experience. So after about 9 months of trying to install it on my computer, because the installation instructions are like only about 6 lines, but there's a couple of really important steps there, like go into this folder that's not there, which I didn't know. Then I went, oh, it's finally working. Yes, import Pygame, it works. Then I tried to do the first tutorial of this car moving around, and then it kept saying that it couldn't find the picture, even though the picture's in the same folder and everything, and I'm just lost it and did that and said, I'll come back to that in another time when I'm calm. What I need is a professional development, a workshop or something where someone goes, this is how you fix it. Because I think there's probably just a little hurdle there that once I get through that, then I'll be fine. It's just that I haven't got the time to, yeah. So, the challenges. When I first started doing it, obviously being new to it, was trying to debug code. That was, and kids go, what, you don't know what's wrong with it? Kids also just not reading the error message that clearly says, you know, why would I want to read the error message, sir? That's what I got you for. Come and fix it, you know. But using the rubber duck debugging and asking the kids, this is what Peter Whitehouse, with all his wisdom, said, just ask the kid, tell him to tell you what he wants to do. And by the time they've explained what they want to do, 9 times out of 10, they've actually solved the problem themselves. So that was a big help. Code help from the internet. That really comes down to me checking kids' work regularly and seeing updates. That quiet little kid who sits there for 3 weeks and does nothing, and then all of a sudden, there's this brilliant assignment. Wow. So if that happens, and I tell the kids openly, I said, I will sit you down and we will go through the assignment line by line, and you'll need to explain to me what each line of code does. And if you can't do that, then don't use it. If you want to go and get some help from the internet, that's fine, as long as you can explain the code. So don't use any code that you can't explain. But what does help is the kid who goes and steals a 2.7 file, who swears to God, hand on Bible, I have been checking this all term, sir, it's been working fine in my 3.5. And you go, no, it hasn't. It's never worked. There's a raw input there. That's not going to work in 3.5. So that's actually a big help. Kids don't know about that. A lot of the kids don't know about that there is actual syntax difference, and I don't tell them about it. I actually didn't know there was a difference until I think it was last year's Pi conference really that really came out, or even before that. I just went and downloaded the latest version of it. I didn't know that there was a thing with those two different concepts. So, but the other thing is to get an A. does your code have to be elegant and beautiful, or does it just have to be functional? So that's something else that we worked out as well. Can a kid who writes 15 lines of code still get an A with the kid who wrote 3 lines of code? And of course, there's some things like if he needs to use a for loop, if it's obvious that he needs to use a for loop, that sort of thing, then maybe that needs to be marked down. So how do we mark this? How do we assess this code? And are we really expecting them to get beautiful, elegant code by the end of grade 10? Probably not. But both 8s and 10s, wow, the stuff that they've been doing. And because they're kids, they've got the time to spend 8 hours on an assignment and work there and get some stuff done. Just been blown away, really have. I mean, my last year's year 10s, they were just brilliant. You would give them an idea, and by the time I finished explaining it, they'd already have a solution and fixed it and made it better. But there's some years where I put an activity up, like the Magic 8 Ball, and kids just look at you with a blank face and just go, what do I do now? But I had a really great class last year, and obviously that happens every now and then. There's some really great programmers there. PyCharm. And the thing I love about Python is the idle. So I don't see the need of using this. And that was half the problem why I couldn't code within the C# is because I was having problems with the Microsoft Studio, Visual Studio. It wasn't actually the programming concepts I was having problems with. It was actually trying to get the IDE working properly. So that's where I actually don't want to use that. Maybe if we start doing stuff in Flask or something like that, or Django or whatever, we might need to do that sort of thing. But at the moment, we're keeping it simple. Everything's simple. Getting rid of the interface stuff and just making it nice and simple. Raspberry Pis. I'm probably going to get rid of all this now that I heard about the microbits. We probably won't do this. The problem being is that we went BYOD. We've got no monitors at school anymore. So, we bought 10 Raspberry Pis, and I had to, before they threw out all the monitors, I went and grabbed about 15 of them, just on the off chance that we might use them. I did buy one of these, well, the school bought 2 of these actually, the PyTop, little laptop where you can actually build it yourself and put your Raspberry Pi in there. That's made life a lot easier, but they're $400 each. So we've got 9 classes. We just can't buy that sort of stuff for 9 classes. So whereas that microbit and what we want to do with the programming, I think we can do that, do something a bit better. So that Raspberry Pi is still probably an ongoing program. I do that with the Code Club on a Wednesday afternoon. And we've had some fun with that. QSite has been a great help. 2 weeks ago I did some professional development with about 30 staff. They did Scratch in one day and then Python the next day with me. Just trying to get the word out there. This is a great thing to use for teachers, and I think that's, for me, that's why I use Python. It's great for learning, great for teachers, great for schools, because of all those things I said before. Just it's free, it's easy, it works, it's simple. Love it. So, being a member of your professional group is so important. You get so much help from them. And that's it from me.
So, if folks have any questions, yes.
Whoa, it died.
Thank you. I want to pounce on one throwaway line you tossed in there earlier, which was that at year 8 you have a big data course. Dying to know what's in that.
Okay, if I could get to the internet, I could
Top of the
show
head,
you.
roughly aims of the course, anything.
Let me just get some. So I use a lot of Google Sites and that sort of stuff. So I have a site for every single thing that I do, because I just love the Google stuff. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. So big data, year 8. The year 7 one is spreadsheeting, and it's a shop. So they've got to create a, we call that the first killer app. So the first killer app was VisiCal. Mm-hmm. So that's what sold a whole heap of Apple IIs and that sort of stuff. So we go from that sort of point of view, and they've got to create their assignment. Actually, the ice cream one's the example. It'll be better if I go to the ice cream one. It's a shop management system. So the user comes in and selects what sort of flavour ice cream and stuff they want, and they have to then create like 10 orders and put some data in, and then create a manager's ledger which tallies up all the data and that sort of stuff. So that's visualising data.
And that's Google Sheets?
And that's Google Sheets. That's using if, countif, some choose, something else there. The Year 8 course, Big Data, we modified this a bit. We used to use Google Forms, and we used to get data about 13-year-old boys from the census about, they were amazed that only 2% of Australian boys played rugby, whereas a lot of them play AFL and rugby league and stuff. And then they had to go and, using a Google form, do a census of all the Terrace boys, and they had to compare the data put them in charts and that sort of stuff.
That's really cool.
So that's what we did, but we got rid of the form stuff because making the form was easy. When you fill it out, it goes straight to a spreadsheet. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's just trying to get the boys to fill in the forms. It was just driving us nuts. We just couldn't get enough data.
Yep.
So we got rid of that, and we're just going to give them the data and just comparing two sets of data. So that's the big data course, and we just go through what big data is and storage and all that sort of stuff. And it's a lot of spreadsheeting as well again. And that's because one day I had an exam supervision of a Year 10 accounting exam, and there was a boy there with a computer with a spreadsheet in front of him and a calculator, and he was calculating things and then putting it into the spreadsheet. And I went, "What are you doing?" And I started making fun of him. And then I realised I had taught him in grade 8 and had taught him spreadsheeting. I'm going, "Why are you not using the spreadsheet? That's what it's for." He said, "That's the way we were taught to do it." So I just went, "Okay, not going there." But yeah, that's all the data stuff that we do. We do databases in grade 8 as well.
Yep.
So the LibreOffice stuff. But making sense of big data.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, if anyone wants a cool video, YouTube, Nat and Low from Google. Have you ever seen that channel? Nat and Low. They work at Google, and it's called their 20% project. And what they can do is 20% of their time they can do whatever they want at Google, and they make a little video channel. And they go around to all the Google's different departments and show us what they're doing. And there's some really great videos there, like about phones. What was their latest one? And data on Waze. There's a new map app called Waze, which is like a game. So you level when you respond to like traffic. You're driving along and there's an accident, and you put in that there's an accident. You get points, and when you get points, the more points you can get, you can change your little icon. So it's just brilliant. It's a brilliant little app. So Nat and Low's 20% project. It's a great little 4-minute videos that you can show at the start of a lesson about certain topics and stuff.
What if you created the accident?
Yeah. But I do have a website here. That's all the Terrace, because we're a Google Apps for Education. That's all inside our Terrace. You could have a Terrace email to see it. But if I go to my other one, I do have Python at Terrace website. Okay, we'll turn off the notifications. And that's an overview of our course from grade 7 through to grade 10. And there is some things like, there's the assignment if you want to grab that. I'm updating that as I go along. But that's the sort of stuff. The only thing we've got to do is the grade 9 stuff, that's still ICT, like flash animations and stuff. We probably need to do some action script, but it's just more language we've got to learn. We don't know what to do with that. I'm thinking Unity maybe, because we used to do Unreal Engine. We used to develop areas in Unreal Engine and stuff, and we might go back to that. We're not sure yet. We'll see how it goes.
Do we have any other questions?
So where are you going to put all the, did you say Arduino was going to go in?
So that's in Year 10. So what we're going to do, all our NXT robots are falling to bits and stuff, and we're not going to buy the EV3 because they're way too expensive, and we don't like the programming language anyway. So we're probably just going to get something for the Arduinos. We've sourced all the bits, and we can probably buy one for about $80, all the bits, rather than the $400, $500 for the Lego one. And that'll probably switch that around and do Arduinos first, and then do robotics with the Arduinos in the second half. But term 3 used to be a problem because we have camps in term 3, and then also we have a thing called immersion where the 10s go and do something for 3 weeks. So we usually only had about 4 or 5 weeks of actual teaching time. So that's an actual robotics exam. So here's some code, What does it do? That sort of, and it's more about automation as well. So we talk a lot about Google cars. We watch a very depressing video called Humans Need Not Apply. And it's about... That's awful. I watched it on a Monday morning. It was like the first lesson on a Monday morning and they're all just dying. So, and in the back of the room there was like job guides because they're in year 10, they're doing all the career stuff. So I picked one of them up and just went to a random page and went, yeah, that's gone. That's gone. Because it'll all be automated. Like the transport industry and all that sort of stuff, forget about it. So that's, yeah, it's more about how robotics is going to change society. Next.
Okay, that's time. So thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you.